best team. We have a lot of Patriots fans out there. Your son's a huge Patriot fan there, Mr. Combs Jr., or I should say Combs. So the Patriots, they re-signed Cam Newton. They have obviously lost Tom Brady. This is the second year going on without Tom Brady. So Combs, who was their best draft pick in the 2021 NFL draft?
I think their best draft pick was Mac Jones. I wasn't really high on their draft, but the Mac Jones pick, look, I'm not very high on Mac Jones anyway, but I did say that if Mac Jones gets drafted by the New England Patriots, he is going to be a top 3 quarterback from this draft class. And look, there's just something about these quarterbacks that come out of college that look like they can't do anything, getting paired up with Bill Belichick, that just makes me think that this is going to be a match made in heaven. So I think Mac Jones was their best pick.
Yeah, and I think Mac Jones, because many people had them going to the 49ers at the 3rd overall pick there, and watching him fall, the Patriots were basically licking their chops saying he's going to fall to us and the world's going to be right again. So, Tori, who was your best pick for the New England Patriots this season?
I'm going to go with their 3rd-round pick with Ronnie Perkins, the edge rusher out of Oklahoma. I really like that pick. 6'3", 247. He's an old school type football player. He uses his hands well. He's got good speed to get around the corner. He's faster than what his tape is. He's got really good speed to conversion. So he can hit that corner, hit the speed, and then still push through you. A lot like Reggie White used to do with his old bull rush move. And Ronnie Perkins has a lot of that. He's a New England Patriot. He's a throwback to the early 2000s when the Patriots defense was dominant with players like Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, and all of them. He is that type of player for them. I am a big fan of Ronnie Perkins in that defense. And this is a defense that, like we said, last year was missing, 7 starters because they sat out because of COVID.
Right. And they're all back. So,
and no, except for Chung because he hung it up.
Right. Allegedly.
This is like the 3rd time he retired, isn't it?
Well, he's probably going to go to Tampa just like Julie Edelman, right? So who was their worst draft pick here, Tori?
I'm going to go with Mac Jones. There you go. I am not a Mac Jones fan. I am not a believer in Mac Jones. Him and Zach Wilson, this was like a great way for this to end, because these are the 2 draft picks that I'm like, I have been hammering out for the last 2 months for how terrible that they are. I don't think Mac Jones is a good quarterback. Mac Jones played with 5-star recruits all around him that made him look 1,000 times better. I know Wyatt said that before too as well. I don't think he's going to be that good of a quarterback. When's the last time you had an Alabama quarterback come out that was a really good quarterback in the NFL? Bart Starr?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So I'm just, it's a translation thing. Alabama quarterbacks do not translate to success in the NFL. Tua has a chance to break that, but I really don't see Tua doing that either. So
Mac Jones. So Combs, your best pick was Tori's best or worst pick, I should say. Are you guys going to flip flop here? So who's your worst pick in the Patriots draft this season?
Tori's my worst pick. I picked Tori. No, I'm going to go with Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. I just didn't I thought they reached for this one, even though it was, in the I believe he was the 2nd-round pick. And I just think that it was a reach for a defensive tackle, which that they didn't need to make. They did not need to go ahead and get a guy who, let's face it, he had a decent season numbers-wise, but when you really break down the numbers for Christian Barmore last year with Alabama, he had 8 sacks last year. Against all of his sacks came against 2 against Mississippi. He had 2 against Arkansas. He had 1 against Louisiana State, 1 against Kentucky. So he took advantage of a lot of really bad talent in front of him, and when he was playing against porous lines, he succeeded. But when he was playing up against good talent, he was non-existent. He was non-existent in those games. He was non-existent versus Georgia, where he had 2 solo tackles and one pass or 2 passes defended. So it's just when you're playing against bigger competition, the guy seems to disappear. I think his numbers skewed him into a 2nd-round pick But I don't understand that pick there for the New England Patriots. I would have picked somewhere on the offensive line to help protect because they really have a depleted offensive line. And you just picked up Mac Jones. I would have really liked to see them go offensive line there to help protect Mac Jones.
Yeah, so another player that likes to disappear. He's from Alabama as well, and that's King Henry. Every time there's a big game on the line, he doesn't seem to show up. But we'll digress on that as we break down players next week. So, Combs, what's your overall draft grade for the New England Patriots?
I gave him a B minus. I really like the pick of Mac Jones. I like the pick of Ronnie Perkins. I do agree with Torrey there. And then they're for whatever reason, the New England Patriots strike gold in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. So somewhere along the line, Cameron McGrone, the linebacker out of Michigan, Joshua Bledsoe, the safety out of Missouri, Will Sherman, the offensive tackle out of Colorado, and Trey Nixon, the wide receiver out of UCF, are all going to be wearing yellow jackets at some point because that's what the Patriots do. They strike gold in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. So that's why I give them a B minus because even though I didn't really care for their draft beyond Mac Jones, they just always strike gold late in the draft.
So they went 7-9 in the 2020 campaign. Did they get better with this year's draft?
No, I think they stayed neutral. I do like like I said, I do like the addition of Mac Jones. I like him with Bill Belichick. I just think that this team's just a couple of years away. They're just not ready. They're going to get some guys back that were on COVID, that opted out because of COVID, I should say. And they're going to get some talent back on that defense for sure. But that offense is going to be abysmal. And, Mac Jones probably is not starting week 1. So it's just one of those things where I think they're going to be about the same. I'd have to take a look at their schedule, but I think 7-10 is about right for the New England Patriots.
So are they cutting Cam Newton away to being a playoff team?
No. I mean, if you started Mac Jones week 1, I think you're in the same position as you are with Cam Newton. You might be. I would say if you start Mac Jones week 1, you're maybe 2 wins better than you are with Cam Newton.
All right, so Tori, what is your overall draft grade for the Patriots?
I gave him a C. Again, nothing here really moves the needles, but Ronnie Perkins to me was probably the best pick. But Brandon's 100% correct. These guys always seem to find that late round gold. And I'm going to go with
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Cameron McGrone will be the guy that's going to become a 7-time Pro Bowler and this guy's the greatest linebacker since Lawrence Taylor never played in the league.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, because because there was the other kid that they took, I think from Michigan last year or 2 years ago, and I can't think of his name. And yeah, he's got some potential, and he just completely blew up in New England. It's go figure. It's the Patriots.
So Tori, they went 7-9 last season. Did they get better with this draft?
Not immediately. I think they're going to be right around the same record. So I think 7-10, maybe 8-9 is right where they're going to be. This is a draft class that you're going to go back maybe 3 years from now and be like, that was a really good draft class for them, or it'd be like, oh man, that was the downfall of the Patriots right there. That was just not a good draft for them. So this to me was kind of it's a boomer bust draft for them. It's nothing jumps off the page to me, but I don't think it was great. I don't think it was terrible either.
Yeah, and then on that boat, let me add some little thoughts here. I don't think this draft makes them better, but all the players coming back from COVID makes them a better team. So I think their record will show improvement, but the team didn't get better from the draft. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think they ended up losing. Which